Praise God for each and every one of you who are present with us on tonight. I certainly bless God and thank God for your attention. What a blessing it is to have the opportunity to meet you in your place, in your space, in your homes, in your places of work, in your vehicles, wherever you are. It is just a blessing to have the opportunity to take these few moments to share with you, to pour into you as we continue this series of discussions as it relates to being Black in America. What is the reality, and then what is the remedy? What is the reality and what is the remedy? And I believe that the current events that have taken place over the last few months or the last few weeks have certainly put us in a place, in a position where we have an opportunity now that we have never had before. In that, I believe that we have been shouting and crying out this thing, Black Lives Matter, and they do. And now we have others who believe with us that Black Lives Matter. And so I want us as a people to give them the benefit of the doubt, just as we expect of them to give us the benefit of the doubt. And I believe that that will make us a better America. On our panel tonight, I am so excited to have my friends and my brothers, people who I hold in a very high esteem and regard, sharing with us on tonight. Are we on Facebook? Sharing with us on tonight. I'm grateful to God. You know, we've got technical difficulties, but you know, we're just starting, man. And so you just check us out in 2 or 3 weeks. We'll have this thing down pat, to the glory of God. And I'm excited about my son. I'm excited about my son-in-law who are quarantined here in the house with me. And they are doing this work. Darius, don't smile like that, Darius. Take Darius off of mute so that they can hear Darius smile as if he knows what it means to be quarantined with me.
My Lord, my Lord.
Amen, amen. I'm excited, and we have had such a great time all week long discussing this matter. You know, I believe that we have an opportunity right now to change the world. You know, as we are on the, you know, the Sunday post Pentecost, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. He has endowed us with power. The Spirit of God is no longer on us, but it is in us, which means that we are the change. Both spiritually and naturally. We're waiting on God and God is waiting on us. We're waiting on the white man and the white man is waiting on us. And so a part of this conversation is for us to take ownership ourselves. And so I'm going to introduce our guests on today, and you know, I'm just going to call their names, and I just want them to give us, if they will, just a snapshot of who they are and what they do. If you guys would do that. First of all, we have Darius Darling.
Hey, everybody. My name is Darius Darling, and I'm a native of Fort Wayne, Indiana. I was born in Detroit, Michigan, but now I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana, just about 2 hours south. I am currently a singer, songwriter, musician, minister of music, elder at my church, a little bit of everything going on right now. And I work with youth here in Fort Wayne through Indiana Tech and through some other organizations doing youth mentoring and developing students and people through their college experience.
Okay, and Darius, give us, and right quick, give us, if you will, the title to your single so that we can go to Dropbox and all that other stuff, man.
Yeah, I have my debut single is out. It's called His Word Says I Can. It's available on Apple Music, Google Play, anywhere that music is sold, digital music is sold. His Word Says I Can is available. It's 3 minutes and 53 seconds that'll change your life.
His word says that I can. Yes, I know that is right. And so all of you who are watching right now on Facebook, do me a favor. Somebody on my staff, type it for me. His word says that I can. Darius Darling. We're going to empower each other.
Go ahead.
He is sowing to us, and so we're going to sow into him. Thank you so much, Darius, for being with us. Pastor Eric Whitaker from Indianapolis, Indiana. If you would just a little bit about you and what you do, I'd appreciate that.
Well, first of all, Pastor Tab, let me say thank you for having me on and for the stellar work you have done over the last 2 nights, and then tonight. I'm honored to be a part of what is happening here. Again, I'm Eric Whitaker. I'm here in Indianapolis, Indiana. My major job or title is I work in the Division of Student Success at Indiana Wesleyan University, which is a four-year liberal arts Christian university here in Indiana. You muted, Pastor Tab.
Coach George Ward, my main mans.
My guy. I am currently working the cultural department at Detroit Martin Luther King Jr. Senior High School. I'm also an outreach worker for Ceasefire Detroit, which is an initiative spearheaded by the mayor and the chief of police here in the city of Detroit to kind of help curb some of the gun and gang violence here as we continue to lose too many people, particularly our young black men, young black boys to gun and gang violence. So I do that. So every day when I wake up, Pastor, my feet are to the ground in an effort to assist this city and my community with getting better. In my spare time, I coach a little bit of basketball for that same Detroit Martin Luther King Jr. Senior High School as well.
Just a little bit of basketball, just a little bit of basketball. And you know, as black men, we understand the worth and the value of the black barbershop. Pastor Whitaker and Darius, maybe not you, but most of us understand the value and the worth for a young black man growing up, the value and the worth of the lessons that you learn just sitting among all kinds. And I met George Ward in the barbershop maybe 20, 30 years ago. And he has watched my children grow up. I've watched his son grow up, and we are just a kin. We have certainly a great respect for each other, and I'm just so proud of what he is and who he is and what he stands for. As a matter of fact, when I invited him to come and share with us, he said to me, "Bro, Pastor, I'm gonna come." He said, "But I'm headed someplace right now to stop the violence or to curb the violence in our city." And that's the kind of stuff that we need. Then finally, we have Pastor Charles E. Williams, who is the senior pastor of the historic Greater King Solomon Baptist
King
Church.
Solomon, historic church, King Solomon, whatever.
King Solomon, mute some of the others. And we're happy to have him with us on tonight. He is also the expansion director for the National Action. Hi, she is so cute. For the National Action Network. And he is the director of operations here in the state of Michigan. Again, he is certainly a soldier with his feet to the ground, and he is making us proud in the city of Detroit for the work that he's doing. Okay, so right quick, everybody gets 1 minute to do this and explain this and express this. You get 1 minute. That's all you get is 1 minute. What does it mean? What does it mean to be Black in America? Darius, you start.
For me, I think three things. It means strong or strength. It means uniqueness, and it means gifted. Strong, I believe we have the ability to be strong and the ability to, as a people, stand together. Our history is strong. Our history is standing together and being unified as one. Unique, I don't think anybody else in America has a story as unique as the Black culture in America. So you have to look at that story and speak to that uniqueness and tell that story as frequently as we can. And gifted, I think we have talents and abilities in our culture that no other culture can do. I mean, we got some amazing cooks in our culture, and some folk don't season their food. So I just think that we have the ability to do some great things in our communities. We've been gifted with the ability to speak eloquently outside of what people think we can do. So I think we have some unique abilities in our community that we can take everything to the next level.
Well, talk then, Darius. Coach, you tell me, what, in your opinion, does it mean to be Black in America, Coach Ward?
Well, when I think of us as people, I think the common denominator between the five of us is being male. So I think being born Black in this country and being male, I think of the strength. I think of perseverance. I think of communication. I think of dedication that we've had to have to endure all that we've had to endure for 400 years. So oftentimes when we look at our families or look at ourselves and things get rough on us, I can always resort back to our ancestors. I think the strength that our grandparents, our great grandparents displayed to endure everything that we've had to endure, yet still have a smile on our faces to still produce families. You think about it, we've gone through some things where a lot of people would have said, you know what, we're not going to continue to reproduce. And we've done so at a great rate, and we've done so with some sustainability. And I talk about sustained excellence all the time. So yes, we've endured an awful lot in this country, but it says an awful lot about us and our mettle inside, that intestinal fortitude for us to be able to endure all that we've had to endure. And obviously with me being a coach, I can relate it to basketball, football, and baseball. When you're down a great deficit and you still have the wherewithal to continue to fight, to continue to perform, and to continue to perform at a high level, it says something about us as people that I know there aren't too many people that could have withstood what we've had to and still blossom and still flourish at the same time. So I just think it's a blessing. When you think about what we've been able to endure and look at us now, and I'm looking at these handsome faces, it's a blessing before God to be who we are, where we are, and to continue to flourish.
Amen. And those of you who are on Facebook, do me a favor. This is a great conversation, great interaction. We're trying to sow into people, pour into people, make people better by the process. And so what we need you to do is share, like, include somebody in this conversation. If you're out there on Facebook and you have any questions for our panel, there's going to be an opportunity for you to share those questions with our panel. Okay, so if you're out there, do me a favor, like, share, give me a heart, show me that you're there. In the words of old folks, show me some sign, and share for me, if you will, so that we can share this message with others. Pastor Whitaker, to you, what does it mean to be Black in America?
So those were extremely eloquent answers that the first two brothers gave, and I'll take a different angle, right? Because none of us can say all of what it means, but to be Black in America today. But what I think the world is getting a glimpse of and a reality of is the amount of stress that we live under being African American. When you think of it that way, it's no wonder we lead the country in heart disease and hypertension, right? Because stress can do crazy things to the body, man. And every day we leave home, we leave with a different level of stress. And it's been fascinating to me to listen to white counterparts and friends say things like, do you really have to have the talk with your son and daughter about being stopped by the police? Like the question is not, do I, it's how many times do we, right? Because we live under a certain amount of stress, and the world is getting a glimpse into it. I can't quite understand this, Pastor Tab. I don't understand why they're seeing it so clearly almost all of a sudden, but they are. I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I think it gives us opportunity, but it is stressful among the other things, right? The beautiful way that Darius talked about how gifted we are, and how Coach talked about how we can sustain excellence. And that's great, but we do it under a great amount of stress. And people are seeing it now like they never have. But boy, I tell you what, if in all the things that it does mean, it means that too, that it comes with a certain amount of stress, just the color of our skin.
So the other day, the president decided he wanted to go to church. And when he decided he wanted to go to church, and I say this as a United States Marine, okay, so for anybody out there that wants to be a critic, if you have not signed on the dotted line and sworn an oath to protect this country, you can't talk to me about this, okay? I'm talking as a United States Marine, hoorah, okay? When the president turned U.S. Military against U.S. citizens, I made this statement on Facebook. Let history reflect that President Donald Trump is trying to dismantle freedom of speech. Lord help us. Listen to what I said. Listen to what I said. Let history reflect that President Donald Trump is trying to dismantle freedom of speech. Lord help us. Now, I said that simply because you had peaceful protesters who were in the plaza, white folks. And, you know, the attorney general comes out, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff comes out, who has no jurisdiction or authority over soldiers. He's an advisor, but that's something else. They come out 5 minutes later, you know, you tear gas American citizens. So I put on Facebook, let history reflect that President Donald Trump is trying to dismantle freedom of free speech. Lord help us. I had a sister, and I won't tell you her name, but you can check my Facebook page because I didn't take it down. And she says to me, this is what this lady says to me. She says, you've got to be kidding. Looting, fighting, shooting my freedom of speech, that scares the hell out of me. Okay. So I replied to her, no, but I do call anybody who orders or allows the United States military to shoot tear gas at peaceful protesters, U.S. citizens exercising their First Amendment rights, for him to walk across the street for a photo op is what's really scary. Don't you agree? She then responded, if that's what happened, I agree. However, there are conflicting accounts. So do not be sure unless we were there. The truth is anyone's guess. My response is, I witnessed it. America witnessed it at 6:30 p.m. Are y'all hearing me? And so then still, you were not there, okay? Now I know what my eyes saw. Okay, I was close to the TV and I had on my glasses. So coach, I know what my eyes saw. Okay, still you were not there. Change the channel and know that things are not as they seem. So easy to sit back and criticize, but use your brain. We are totally changing the laws that our forefathers made. Freedom of speech had no intent to cover the scenes that the low-life, angry criminals are using today. Pray for our country and quit being ignorant. Okay, now this is Dixie Daughtery, I'm sorry, who put that on Facebook concerning me. I don't even know it. Okay, and this was my response. And I need my super save people at the very end. I'm gonna do this. I need you to close your ears. First of all, this is my page. And if you don't like anything I say on my page, delete me. And by the way, which angry criminals are we talking about? The protesters? Because that was the basis of my argument. Or are you talking about the angry dudes carrying guns and badges who are sworn to protect and serve, who keep killing innocent people? Or are you talking about our angry president who has divided this country, made us the laughing stock of the world, and has now ordered the U.S. military to turn on its own citizens? Lady, you don't get it. And don't ever call me ignorant. You don't know anything about me. Now, with that being said, this is the part, close your ears. With that being said, read this post and stay the hell off of my page. And then I put, excuse me, y'all, because I knew that some of y'all was going to be reading. They don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it. But I do believe we have been making this cry for so long. Hey, do me a favor, share, text somebody, tag somebody, call somebody and let them know they can actually call in to the telephone number 605-475-4850. 605-475-4850, extension 502. And that my staff is going to put that on the Facebook so that your people can get that link. We've been saying Black Lives Matter. Now we finally got them saying Black Lives Matter. And so my question to you, brothers, is, are we as Black people asking for too much? And my question to you as brothers is, where do we go from here? Darius?
Well, for me, I don't think we're asking enough. I mean, that's just my perspective. I don't think we're asking enough. I mean, at this point in time, we're just asking to be considered equal. We just want to have an opportunity to return home. That's what we're asking for at this point in time. Let me leave home, in the morning and at least feel comfortable that I'll make it home. I just want to be comfortable knowing that I'm gonna make it home at the end of the day. But I don't think we're asking enough. It's good to see everyone out here now. I'm glad people are starting to wake up, and I'm glad we have more allies in the streets with the protests. We have protests going on in Fort Wayne right now. I was out there last night, and I saw the diversity of the audience and the crowd there. But I don't think we're asking enough, because what I witnessed was that we were a little disjointed in what we were talking about. We're not asking people to stay on message, because if the message is police brutality and injustice towards black and brown lives, we need to stay on that message. There's sometimes so many people get infused and woven into the group that the message begins to become deteriorated or diluted. So we have to make sure that we're asking people to fight the right fight. This is the cause right now. And I'm not saying that your cause does not matter. This is the cause at hand. And I'm sorry, we can't, at a certain point, we can't deal with so much at one time. If this is the momentum that we have going, let's drive this thing home. And soon as we get close to the finish line, let's go and pull something else in so they don't get tired. They're going to have to get tired of seeing our faces, because these are the issues that are at hand. These are the things that we want to see happen. So I just don't believe we're asking enough. We're asking people to be one-track minded here. We have not asked people to be one-track minded and focus on this issue. And I think we can do a little bit better job of informing people on how to fight this fight, so that we can get answers and justice for this fight, so that we can continue the fight in other areas.
Darius, how old are you?
I am 27. You can't tell everybody that because they're not ready.
And what degrees do you have?
I currently have my Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration, and then I have a Master's degree in Business Administration with a specialty in Marketing and Human Resources.
And are you going to get a PhD?
That was a fight me and my mama was having, and we trying to figure out when I was going back to school. But it's possible. It's possible.
And the reason why I ask that is because that's our future. That's our future. That's our future. The young creative minds, that youthful spirit, that, I don't set cell phones up. I got cameras and lights all around me. I don't set this stuff up. I hand people iPads and computers and say, because they're more creative. And until we, the past generation, allow the current generation to dream their dreams and push them along the journey, we will continue to be where we are right now. So I'm really proud of you, Darius, and how you articulate yourself and how you carry yourself and how you have accomplished so much. It should show young Black America, you should give them the audacity to hope, man.
And honestly, that's what I try to do. I really feel like I have a unique platform here where I worked at the university for so long, and now I have a platform to continue to still impact lives every day. And it's my mission, it's my life's goal to change lives and make memories. So every day I want to make sure that I'm impacting somebody's life and allowing them to make a memory, allowing them to have the experience that could totally, when they came into contact with me, they had a different encounter than they ever expected that they would have. So I think we have, I thank you for that, but I think there's a chance for more people to be greater than me, right? It's my responsibility to get you to where I am and then be that platform, that launching pad for you to take off to that next level. It's not about me. I don't want people to think that, I am trying to do anything or anything. I just want to create a platform that I can put somebody on my back and say, listen, don't just listen to me, listen to them. And they have so much more to tell.
Yeah, I get all of that, but you are an inspiration. You are a tremendous inspiration. Okay, Coach, what do you think?
Well, I don't think, we definitely aren't asking enough But I think when you talk about the term ask, I'm just one to believe now it's time out for us asking for any damn thing. Excuse my mouth. I think we have to demand some things. And I think that's why society and this government and this country has silenced the male voice the way it has from a Black perspective. Because we don't really ask a lot of questions. Our grandfathers, our uncles were very masculine men. They demanded some things. So I think for us now, it's time for us to demand some things and stop asking questions. We've asked for a long time. And obviously we've continued to ask and we haven't been granted what we've asked for. So I think now it's time for us to realize while the iron is hot, we got to get it. And the one thing that I saw, and D Squared talked about it, is being out here on the front lines for the last week. Oftentimes those marches, 75% to 65 to 75% of the people here, believe it or not, have been of European descent. So now what has occurred, Pastor, is in the 60s, white America saw the bus being blown up for those people who were going down to help Blacks get the right to vote. That's when they spoke. They knew that the South was terrible and they knew some things were happening, but when they saw it, it made them feel like, you know what, now this is real bad. So I think the murder of our young brother in Georgia, I think the murder, obviously, this past week in Minneapolis has forced some people to see it. And during this pandemic, and you got cell phones, everybody can get news on their phone almost in real time. Now it has forced white America to say, you know what, this is enough. Now something has to give. And we understand that there's obviously a good portion of this country, if they support Donald Trump, and I'm gonna say his name, if they support 45, there's something that I don't want to say there's something missing, but there's obviously something going on for them to feel comfortable with supporting this guy and his agenda. But at the same time, you've got some European who are saying, you know what, this is enough. You've done these people a terrible disservice, and we can't continue on this way. So as we become more diverse, when you talk about diversity, you talk about race, you talk about religion, you talk about sexuality. So as we become more diverse as a country, some of those people who have been outcast themselves by those very European men, they already are against some of the things that these men are standing for. And now they're saying, you know what? You continue to kill these families. You continue to kill these men right in our face. I mean, it was broad daylight on a corner. Now, we've seen some things and we heard of lynchings in the dark. And we know Emmett Till was pulled from his relative's home in the late night hour. But now to have the gall to kill us and look around and see people watch you at an intersection, it has forced America to say, you know what? A good portion of America is saying, this is becoming too much. So while we're asking, I'm saying we need to demand, and we need to pull some people with us and continue to demand until we get exactly what it is we deserve.
Amen. Those of you, again, watching on Facebook, if you find this to be an interesting conversation, if we're helping you at all, do me a favor, like, share, text somebody, let them know that they can call in at 605-475-4850, extension 502-502. All right. And let me say this before we come to you, Pastor Whitaker. I don't know if you guys, and Darius, you might be a little too young to remember 9/11. I remember what I was doing on that day. And I remember the unity and the offense that I took on that day. How dare you attack America? And, you know, angry about, you know, Brother Floyd and the mishandling of Brother Floyd, and just mad. But to see white brothers and sisters, and to see people from all races and all religions come together, and to see white folks, you know, walking down streets in Washington, D.C. with signs that say BLM, you know, that means something. To see, you know, police officers and National Guards and police chiefs and, you know, commanders of the National Guard marching with folks, I think we have their attention. So now my question becomes, what do we do with that after? Okay, so Pastor Whitaker, what do you have to say? And then we're gonna come to Pastor Williams.
Oh, okay, thank you, Pastor Tab. I've been waiting patiently. I have so many things I want to say. I'm gonna try to keep it brief. But you're asking.
Don't throw shade.
We're asking the right questions, though, right? We're asking the right questions. We have people's attention. And Coach called Darius D squared. I like that. D squared, right? Talked about the ask, and Coach talked about the demand. And I don't mind either of those, but my greatest concern is that we haven't clarified, like Darius was dancing around, we haven't clarified. You're saying, are we asking too much? And I'm asking, clarify what the ask is or what the demand is. Let's clarify it, because now that we have people's attention, we need to be able to list, this is what we want. In this case, in the George Floyd case, maybe we're asking for the officers to be convicted and sent to prison. And that's great. There should be no problem. I know there's talk about it being hard to convict a police officer, but you know, the footage is pretty clear. We should get that. But beyond that, I think that's the heart of your question. Beyond that, where do we go? And we have to have an agenda. There has to be a national agenda for what we're asking or demanding. What is that thing? And then the other thing that we're dancing around, and Coach talked about it, there are other people who are hurting. There are gays and Asians and Hispanics and that are hurting. And this is a time where we can lead the charge. We can extend the tent. We can get it bigger. We can invite people in, right? And we lead the charge, because make no mistake, what will make us angry is if I hear that the gay struggle and the Black struggle is the same. They are not the same, but they are enough alike that we can lead the charge, extend the tent, and tell them, come with us. Yes. We'll lead this one, you know? Yes. And there's power in that on all different levels. So we got to be able to expand the tent. But if we can't, list the demands, list the things that we want, and be clear. And like D squared say, stay on task right now, because it's hot right now. But here's my concern. If we did get the president's attention, and I know we have a lot of, I'm like you, Pastor Tapp. I served in the U.S. Army for 10 years. I served during wartime. So I have much respect for the office of president. So here's my thing. If we got the president's attention, never mind who the president is, but you got the attention of the person who is the most powerful person in the world for 15 minutes, and he said to you, how can I help you? And you start scratching your head and you start saying vague things like justice. No, I get that. You know, the part of the challenge I want to put out there is, let's clean up the language, man. We got to go from rhetoric to very specific things that we're asking for. And so I can go on and on, but I think we're moving in the right direction. And sometimes I get a little agitated because I don't know if we're moving fast enough.
Okay. Pastor Williams, are you with us, Pastor Williams? Okay, Pastor Williams, an agenda. I know that's your talk.
Well, I think we've done a lot of this before. I think we've traveled these roads before. I've heard these conversations on several occasions. And one of the things I think we all struggle with is none of us really have 100% of the information of what everybody is doing and what policies, right, and what ask we have. You know, when we hear people talk about justice, defining that is, I think, for many people. Part of it is because some folks define justice as just tearing the whole system down, Some folks define justice as we want resources for just us. Some folks define justice as we want to see these cops arrested. Some folks define justice. And so you have this hodgepodge of what justice is and what do we want. And I think when Black America really needles down into organizing different sections of its community, we've got the Congressional Black Caucus, we've got Black civil rights leaders, we've got Black church leadership, religious leadership. Notice I've never been in a scenario where I've ever heard us all say the same thing outside of a candidate, right? Obama, everybody said, who you voting for? Obama. We all knew for sure that we wanted Obama. But if I say justice is reparations, somebody in this call or somebody watching us will say, we can't get that. We don't want that. I don't want that anyway. If I say justice is the cops, someone will say that's not enough. So the point I'm getting to is that if we're going to get justice, then we are going to at some point have to agree on what justice is. I can tell you what I'm fighting for. I can tell you that I'm fighting for making sure that we have controls in place in regards to policing. I can tell you that when I fight and I say justice, particularly in police brutality, I'm talking about currently diversifying police forces in suburban areas. I can tell you that we want to expand body cams. We tired of cops turning the body cams off. I mean, I can tell you, I can go down a litany of things that we want, but in terms of a Black agenda, there is no Black agenda. Quite frankly, until we can all decide, there's a song that we'll sing. If I'm Black Democrat, I'll sing this song. If I'm Black Republican, I'll sing this song. If I'm Black nothing, I'll sing the same song. And we haven't got to that place, which is one thing I can say for the LGBT community. Because in the LGBT community, whether you're on the Republican side or the Democrat side or the super, super liberal side or the super, super conservative side, they're singing the same song in regards to marriage, in regards to insurance, in regards to all of the different things that they're asking for. So I don't know if that's bleak. That may be bleak. That may be uncomforting to some, but that's the work ahead of us. And quite frankly, I look to the baby boomers, and I probably have less hope that it'll happen in the baby boomer generation, and more hope that as Gen Xers and as millennials and as the wires or whatever they call it, exillennials and all of that come up, that we'll probably have a better chance at putting agenda together. But there's a lot of baby boomers out there. They lived a very long time, and I'm not knocking anybody if they're a baby boomer on here, but they lived a whole lot longer than the generation before them, and they got the torch a whole lot faster. And so I think the question is, as we continue to push, we need to start allowing that to ruminate. Gen Xers and millennials and such need to start allowing to ruminate that we've got to have a collective agenda. We've already elected a Black president. We know we can do that. But maybe that's part of doing that, and maybe it's part of doing that again, but this time electing one with an agenda that we can speak to and that we all agree on. And my battery I'm at the tail end, so I don't know if I'll get cut off.
Okay, because I wanted to ask you next. I wanted to ask you specifically, Pastor Williams, and I sort of know the answer to this because I've been pastoring for 30 years now, so I sort of know the answer to this question. I've played politics with politicians, so I know the answer to this question. How do we bring together all of the players, no matter what religion, no matter what denomination, no matter what call, no matter what cause, how do we bring them together and build a collective that will be a Black voice for America. I'm talking about, NAACP and NAN and da-da-da and da-da-da and da-da-da, where we become a Black committee, so to speak, and have representatives from each of those particular groups to represent the interest of those groups and maybe bring about an agenda that everybody can accept versus it being OC Tab's agenda because everybody doesn't like OC Tab, or Eric Whitaker's agenda because everybody doesn't like Eric Whitaker, or George Ward's agenda. You got what I'm saying? How do we do that? Pastor Williams.
Well, I think a lot of that happens already. I mean, I think a lot of that happens. It's the civil rights organizations. They always are working together. I know that they typically are all on try to stay on the same page. But there's always this ego and interest thing that always pops in. Whose name? Who has the permit? Whose name is? Who's branding what? Right? Whose logo is on what? Right. So there's always that petty politics that are at play. I think that Congressional Black Caucus, they're always vying for power. It's as long as we continue to operate in the construct of who's going to get the credit, we're going to continue to kind of wither at the vine in terms of that. So until we get to a point in a place where somebody can say, hey, look, it's not about who's getting the credit, it's about whether we'll actually meet an interest of our people. I think we'll be able to do that. I think it's unrealistic. Maybe I'm just cynical because I'm getting older, but I think it's unrealistic to believe that we're gonna all sing, all Black folks gonna get at the table, sing Kumbaya, go in the room, fix all the Black problems, and come out and say we got it. But I do think if we can just keep manipulating what we got as much as we possibly can to make small advances, that's better than not making any advances.
Absolutely. Darius, what do you think? Where do you and your kind, your age group, those who can't just be told anything, because they have the wherewithal and resources and intellect enough to see through the bull, what are y'all saying?
So when I talk in my friend groups, what we realize is that in order for there to be change, there has to be power behind it, right? There has to be some level of unity behind it that has a little push. So it has to be economic. There has to be some things that we do economically that sets us in a different category, whether that's putting together investment groups that says this is our community investment group. And if you want to start a business here, you can come to us and we'll help you get that capital, or we'll provide you with that capital, and then you got to pay us back. So we had to take some of the economic power that is within the system and put it back into our communities, whether that's investment groups, or if it's making sure that we're supporting Black businesses, right? Making sure that we are getting our haircut at Black barbershops, making sure that we are getting our dinner from Big Mama's Soul Food on the south side of town. We have to make sure that we are doing those things to empower our people to have a seat at that table. I think we also have to do things legislatively, right? So we have to pull people together. And I know, and I believe wholeheartedly that it is still possible to be able to pull people together and come out with a unified voice. But I think it has to come from someone who is already in an office, right? I think if you're elected to an office, you have to have that mindset. Somebody needs to say to you, hey, this is a problem, we need to fix it. And then I believe that person is now responsible for pulling together leaders of all types from all areas and from all backgrounds and saying, guys, all right, so I understand there are a lot of issues on the table. Let's figure out what is everything that we need to address, and let's put an itemized list together and figure out how we're gonna knock these things out. Even if that list comes out to be 100 items long, that's fine. We got a checklist. We can get started on 1, 2, and 3 and figure out our way, but we just have to be able to get into a room and pull it all together. So I think it is possible. And it may be the naive me, the young me. I still got a little fight in me, but I think if we put some of our leaders, if one of our leaders says, listen, something has to change, and they place the call to every organization without being biased and not looking for these organizations to provide you with some money for your campaign or anything like that. It's not about the money portion of it. It's about making sure that you get the right people in the room and let's have a conversation. These are, and like I said, the list can be 100 items long, but we have to address those items on that list. Lastly, and I'll just mention this, on my Facebook page right now is a letter that I wrote to our mayor and our police chief in response to their press conference that they did this past weekend. Although, about protests and everything like that. In that letter, what I did was I wanted to make sure that I let the mayor know I appreciate the work that they're doing. However, I disagree with some things that have been said and are done in our city. And if we have some things that are being said and done in our city, we have to be able to speak to those, but we also have to be able to provide actionable items that they can implement to see that we are addressing the needs in our city. If we're not addressing those things, we're missing out completely on anything that's going to take us to the next level. So again, it's not necessarily about who's in the room. It's about making sure we get the list. Let's put this thing on the list and let's attack this list and put a plan in place.
Okay, Coach, Darius spoke about the need of a figurehead, so to speak. Is that basically what you were saying, Darius? Someone who would lend voice or leadership to the movement?
Well, for me, it's someone who sees that there's an issue and can get the people in the room. So I'm not necessarily saying it's a leader or somebody to be the spokesperson for it, but it needs to be somebody that says, listen, there's an issue. I see an issue. Can we pull these people together and let's figure out what we need to do? But it takes some people losing their egos to come into a room where they are not at the front of the room too, though.
So that's sweet. Okay, so let me ask this question.
That ain't gonna happen.
Are the leaders that we're looking for the leaders that I'm looking at?
I would beg to say that it's time to share the platform, because even if we can say that it's not going to happen, but if we don't put effort in making it happen, we know it's not going to happen. We don't give it a chance. So if I can't come alongside Eric Whitaker and he says, Darius, listen, these are the things that's bothering me. Okay, let's figure out who else this is bothering. Let's all go in this room together and let's create this list. And then we have to create a platform. Now, again, I think, again, it may be my naivete speaking, but it also may be me saying, listen, it's time for a change. It may be time to have some other people at the table. Some people have been at the table so long that their chairs are broken.
Indeed. Coach?
For me, I think ultimately, I heard the term reparations, and D Squared, Pastor Williams, and Pastor Whitaker said unity. Everybody mentioned unity. And so that is tough for us. Let's not lie to ourselves. That's tough. But I think we have to have something tangible happen. We talked about finances, and I heard, when you talk about reparations, something tangible has to happen to encourage us and make us really say, okay, we need to back this thing. Because for us to talk about justice, that's a vague term. What does justice mean? So I think, we have to have something tangible for people of color to follow something. There has to be something tangible that we can hold on to, that we can see down the road and say, okay, this is what we're looking forward to. But when you talk about justice, you talk about respect, what does that look like? For us, we're not going to jump on that type of agenda, unfortunately. And D squared, you're absolutely right. It has to be something that's unified. And from a leadership perspective, yeah, we have to lay our egos down and we have to say, for the better or the good, we all need to jump on this thing. But I think we need to unify with our dollars. See, when you talk about reparations, that's good. I think the power of the dollar is so powerful. And I think, you know, the bus boycott, when you think about everything that happened historically for us, we showed them. I mean, you're just talking about buses. Now I'm talking about gym shoes. You understand? I'm talking about where we eat. So for us, there's no reason for us not to do our research and not to do our homework and say, I'm going to buy my fish strictly from a Black-owned restaurant. I'm going to get my oil change strictly from a brother that looks like me. And once we do that, then someone will start to acknowledge and listen to what we're saying. But up until that point, you know, we can holler and scream as we've been doing for 400 years. And as we realize, you will not be a threat because everybody is not with you. I think it's imperative for us to take our dollars. I think during the course of this pandemic, anytime there's anything negative, there's truly something positive. You just got to look for it. The one thing we began to do, and you gentlemen all do it, but we have to sit down and eat dinner together.
Yes, sir.
At our tables. We have to do that again. So for me, it's like, okay, we've recognized that we've saved some money. Some people that realize like, man, they've saved some money. So with that money, let's do something unified. Let's make sure that when the guy comes and put the carpet down, he looks like us. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That isn't racist. That isn't bigotry or anything. It means I'm going to take care of my own. I take my family and Pastor Williams being here and Pastor Tab, you've been here. We go through Dearborn sometimes, and my kids get angry sometimes about once every year or two. We go through a section in Dearborn, and it looked like we have castles there. And I talk to them, I say, well, look, you know, the person that does cement work, the person that works on brakes, everybody within that community spends their dollar right there. Now you talk about something powerful. So at the end of the day, we don't have to ask if we simply take our time and research and not get upset because I see Pastor Whitaker pull up with a nice car. If my car is not that nice, so what? I applaud you. But let's not get upset. We get upset when we watch each other's success. See, until we get away from that, and until we educate our children on how they should love, receive love, and to understand how to love, then we'll be back at this place. If we get something tangible tomorrow, if we don't educate our children and the next generation on how to handle this, on how they're supposed to conduct themselves, on how we're supposed to raise our children again, we'll be back here in another 30 years. I'm lying. We'll be back here in another 15 years. So we have to get to the point where we are now raising our children the way they need to be raised, with unity in mind, with going to the ice cream parlor. If that means I pass the Dairy Queen and I got to drive 1.5 miles to get to that brother that's serving that soft serve ice cream, then damn it, you need to do that. Because until we get to that point, we're going to be back here again and we're going to have a Zoom and we're going to be in wheelchairs, but we're going to talk about the same thing.
And I agree.
Speaking of wheelchairs,
wholeheartedly with that. Go ahead.
I want
Pastor Williams.
speaking of wheelchairs, you know, what crossed my mind when I was thinking about this was when I was listening to George Worsby.
If y'all liking this on Facebook, share it for me.
Already done.
I'm 39 years old, and that, to me, what that means for me is I think about being 39. I think I have about, at 39, I may have about 20 to 25 more productive work years at 39. And so I think
I think we lost Pastor Williams. And I know his phone was.
He was having problems with his battery. Yeah. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe because, he was doing that Baptist preacher thing. So y'all know he was about to drop something heavy. When they go to talking slow, they're about to get you.
Something we was going to be here till about 10:15, but I ain't mad.
Yeah, I heard you speaking, Coach Ward. And part of it is we have to be willing to pass that knowledge, but also pass that torch, right? We have to be willing to bring somebody along with us. Part of the issues is and Pastor Tab used to say it all the time, and it's one of them things that got stuck. We get all we can all we get, and then sit on the can. And so what happens is we walk into rooms, and because we are so dedicated to what we're here for and happy we got in the room, we close the door right behind us, rather than bringing another young leader with us to the table and says, hey man, just sit right here. I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna show you how this thing about to go down. And I'm gonna gameplay this strategy out real quick for you, because this is what's about to happen. This person about to vote here, this person about to do this person about to do that. We don't sit down and teach each other the game. And so you have a lack of trust in leadership at that point, because all you see is some people that went behind the door, made a decision, came out, and now you don't have any type of context to what happened. And we didn't take anybody in the room with us to show them how the sausage is made so they can continue producing the sausage.
D squared. Pastor Whitaker, I see you itching in your seat. Trust me, I'm going to be 38.5 seconds at the most. Every season, when we get our T-shirts and our shooter shirts for my team, I put a message on it. Mm-hmm. This is bigger than basketball, so I put a message on it. So I give a sermon every day before practice for about 3 to 5 minutes. Last year, the T-shirt said, as you climb, you should pull. If you're climbing that ladder and you climbing it by yourself, and you look back and you look down at everybody and you smile and say, man, I'm getting it. I'm driving a Rolls Royce. I got 4,500 square feet. I got 3,700 square feet as a house. If you aren't pulling somebody with you up that ladder, then as a Black man, you have absolutely done nothing. So for me, I'm trying to tell these young people right now, yep, I get it. You want to be successful, but success is a very relative term. If I died tomorrow, and the only thing y'all talk about, and Pastor Tab, you better get to Detroit, man. All you brothers better get to Detroit and come to the funeral. But if the only thing they talk about is, man, he coached some good basketball and his kids were decent looking kids, then y'all should have killed me a long time ago. Our job, our obligation, it's obligatory for us to, as we climb, we got to pull somebody with us. And you just talked about a D squared. You pull them with the mind. I ain't gonna just pull you and say, come on, I'm gonna feed you. I'm gonna teach you how to feed yourself, and I'm gonna teach you how you're supposed to conduct yourself within this community to uplift everybody. So you on point, brother.
Pastor Whitaker.
Hey, yeah, do you have a specific question for me? You just want me to comment?
I want you to comment. But how do we fix it? Where do we go from here? What's next? I mean, and see, my issue is this, and the protest has a place, okay? The prayer meeting has a place, okay? But what do we do after prayer? What do we do after the protest? Because the Bible says faith without works is dead. I pray by faith, but then I have to move on that faith if I'm going to get good and godly results. You know, we protest and we march, but out of all the people that are marching, how many of us are going to make a difference by voting? How many of us are going to make a difference by business ownership? How many of us are going to make a difference by economic collectives? How many of us are going to make a difference by filling out the census? How many of us are going to make the difference by taking on the responsibility of being public servants? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because we can complain about what's going on, but the problem that I have is you can wrap around a beauty supply store for an hour and a half in the middle of a pandemic, but can't go to a voting booth on something that's going to affect your life for the rest of your life. Going to affect your children, their well-being. You got what I'm saying? Their educational opportunities. It's going to affect their finance. It's going to affect their future. This stuff that we're dealing with right now, man, we will feel the residuals of this for the next 20 years. We'll feel the impact of this presidency for a long time. And so my question to you is, how do we fix it? And also, because I believe that we as a people have to take on a certain amount of responsibility ourselves too. You know, we waiting on the Lord to do it and the Lord waiting on us to do it. We waiting on the government to do it, and the government, listen, what you tolerate is what they're gonna give. They have finally saw that the straw has broken the camel's back and have made up in their minds, okay, these people serious, enough is enough, and so they've got our attention. Now that we have their attention, now that we have their attention, which is the part that they could play, how do we direct them to play the part that we need them to play? And this is the last question for everybody else, what part should we as a community, as a collective be playing to get this thing started? Pastor Whitaker and then everybody else, right quick, and we're gonna be off. And if anybody has any questions on Facebook, type them in right now, because we're gonna be getting off real soon. So if you got questions, at the end of these comments, if I don't have any questions, then we're gonna move on. Okay, Pastor Whitaker.
Pastor Tab, complex problems rarely are solved with simple answers, right? We're talking about big issues, right? And so we have to be able to have a myriad of responses, right? So there are some responses that are personal. Everybody has to look in the mirror and say, what can I do? And that's great. And we need a list of things, starting with voting and educating yourself on laws and extending your own personal network and making friends outside of just the Black community, because we know it won't just be us. So there's some things that can happen on the personal level. Then there's some things that need to happen in the community. That's why we need community leaders, and we have them, and we need to be able to support them, and they need to be able to put out agendas that we can get behind. But there must be that national level. And I think, you know, the other pastor, Pastor Williams, didn't sound as optimistic as I am, as perhaps D Squared is. I'm optimistic. I think that there is a such thing as compromise and consensus making. We can bring people in a room and come to some kind of consensus. And just like Darius said, it may be 100 things on the list. Yours is number 4. We're only going to tackle 3, but yours is up next. And that's got to be okay. We got to be able to build consent. We can do that. Here's the problem. I learned this when I launched a church in Indianapolis, when I was a church planter. If you waiting on everybody to get on board, it ain't never going to happen. Here's what has to happen. Those of us who will do it got to start doing it on such a level that we're making so much noise that the others will have to come on board. They'll have. So we know we're never gonna get everybody in the room and everybody's gonna say the same thing. And that but we got to be able to build consensus. There's ways. There's business ways. Even now, I'm in the school where I am. There's a book called Accelerate. It's a business book. John Cotter is the author, and the whole idea is, when you have a business that's huge and a bureaucracy, something major moving along, and it can't move quickly, right? It can't be nimble. So to take a portion of that outside, let that business structure keep moving, let the bureaucracy keep moving, and let this incubator run alongside of it that can be nimble and quick and start gaining momentum, and then plug that thing back in and watch what happens. There are models that we can use to bring about change. And I'll never get to the point where I say it's hopeless, because we're not without hope. The Bible tells us that, and we have power. We just need to learn how to use the power. We've been talking about economic power. I talked in terms of having an economic czar for the Black community, a czar that can tell us how to keep businesses accountable, how to tell Target, look, if you're going to build in here, this is what we want. And the NFL has just put out a commercial. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It's all the NFL players saying, we want the NFL to say, and then they say, we want the NFL to say this. We're sorry for not allowing you to protest, and we were wrong, and we want to. And then they say, we want the NFL to say. And it's like 7 things. They go back to back. This is specifically what we want. There are ways to do this. We can't give up hope. You know, even if we miss this moment, it makes me sad. Even if we miss this moment, let's prepare for the next one. We can't give up.
Man, you just gave me goosebumps. If he just gave somebody on Facebook goosebumps, do me a favor, push like. If he just said something good, if you believe what he said, push like, give him a heart sign. Okay, coach, what is your closing, and I want our future to have the last word. What in your opinion, coach, what's next?
Wow. Again, I think responsibility, accountability, and those are terms that I use all the time with my guys, with my family. Let's hold ourselves accountable. Yep, we need to go to the table and we need to ask and demand some things, but let's say we don't get anything. What do we do? Do we bow down? Do we lay down? Do we force our grandfathers to wish we were never born? Or do we continue to step forward and do as we're supposed to do and do what our predecessors and our ancestors did? Let's make sure that we prepare ourselves for the very worst. Say we don't get anything. Let's continue to move forward, but let's unite as people. Let's utilize our resources. I think my maternal grandfather was a master plumber and a preacher too. And he always talked about, if you got some tools, what should you do? You got to use them. With all this talent, with all this intellect within our community, how is it that we're the biggest consumer, but yet you tell me we're poverty stricken? It doesn't add up for me. So for me, I'm telling you right now, as people, let's make sure we understand our value. They open these malls and strip malls up with the understanding, with the knowledge that we're coming. They have produced, you know, Mandela's release date was the only release date that we remember. I remember when Mandela was released and he came to the city of Detroit. Now they have a release date for gym shoes. How ignorant are we? I love gym shoes, obviously. I was a basketball player. I coach it now. But we should not be puppets like that. When they release some gym shoes, we shouldn't show up. Our parents, as adults, we shouldn't show up. We should make sure our children understand that $200 doesn't have to go to a pair of gym shoes to make sure that you feel good about yourself. We could repair some of the windows in our homes with $200. We could put a door up to our homes with $200. Let's make sure we understand what's really important and love ourselves and make some demands from within. We are not getting anything from anybody else if we don't come properly. So again, people will respect us and listen to us once we begin to listen to ourselves and understand our value. And until then, we will be having these conversations some more.
Basically, if they don't do anything, they are not the ones that are in control of our destiny. They can control our history, but tomorrow's a blank page. We control our destiny. And and I hear, and I want us to support Black business, but I need to say to the Black business people out there, you have to be integritous. If you tell somebody you're gonna pour concrete, pour the concrete. If you tell somebody you're gonna be on time, be there on time. That is what is going to be necessary, and don't try to get everybody. We're spending $200 on gym shoes, and this is a sad truth. And then something happened in the family, we got to go fund people. No, don't go fund me. Go fund yourself.
Bro, Pastor, this is one I want to say. I looked the other night and I saw some buildings burning. And I told my family, I told my wife, I said, look, the easiest way to burn a building is to not spend your money there anymore. We ain't gotta, we're not ignorant people. We ain't gotta burn, we ain't gotta loot nothing. If we're angry with somebody, then guess what? I'm gonna call Pastor Whitaker. I'm gonna call D Squared and say, hey man, hey, I need somebody to come hang up a light for me. Give me a brother that's an electrician. We do not have to go about our business that way. And I understand when you ain't heard, you're gonna do something that people don't agree with. But at the end of the day, let's make sure we understand we maintain our integrity. We understand and we maintain our vigilance at the same time, but we use our vigilance in an intellectual form where it still makes us proud and it still makes our children look at us and say, that's what I want to be like, and understand we're not sacrificing lives too often, too much.
I agree. I want to give read this question, and then Darius, we're coming to you for the closing remarks. How do we deal with the social aspect of things? Reality is all white people don't hate us. We all agree on that, right, gentlemen? But in this climate, I feel like things are very awkward in public. It's like white people want to be extra friendly to prove a point, and a lot of us are uncomfortable because we feel like they're trying too hard. Some have experienced this on a very basic levels, but others have lifelong brothers and sisters that they don't know how to talk to and deal with at this time. And let me just give my 2 cents, and then I'm gonna let you say what you gotta say, Darius. And if y'all wanna say something on that, y'all can say something right quick. It's a difference, listen to this, in knowing and understanding. They knew, but they knew we were in pain. They heard we were in pain, but it is not until now that they understand how much pain we're in and the results thereof. Right? Does that make sense to y'all? So I think that they're being extra nice because some of them are genuinely sad and sorry, man. Some of them are, I got a friend, I talked about him last night. He was born in a different country, and he says to me, well, Pastor, why can't everybody pull themselves up by their bootstraps like you and your family? And my response is, they stole the boots. They didn't cut the suspenders off the pants. And it would be one thing if we were just talking about slavery that took place 400 years ago, but it's that, and then it's police brutality, and then it's social injustice, and then it's, disparity in education, and then it's, underinsured or uninsured, it's unemployment, it's all of that, so people should be mad. But my fear is if we trump the herald, tear it up, burn it down, burn, baby, burn. What happens is a young person that does not have the temperance that we have will go out there and get themselves in some trouble that we ain't gonna get them out of. You had a dummy stand on public TV and say, maybe bleach will cure corona. And they came out with a report today, listen to this, that 1/3 of America in some way or another has tried it. Just for your information, do not ingest bleach. Okay, Darius, I'm done.
Well, here's my answer to that, and then I'll go and answer the other question and get out of the way. We have to leave space for grace. And we have to leave room for ignorance. And not ignorance in a way of just, oh, I don't want to know. Some people just don't know. You have to give people the benefit of the doubt. You have to leave space for grace. You have to allow. I have a couple of coworkers that I really enjoy, and they some really cool people, and they some really cool white people, and they say, Darius, I got a question, but I don't know how to ask it. One, I trust that you're not asking me a malicious question, or you're not coming from a place of disgruntledness or evilness or ill intent when you ask this question. That's me giving you space for me to teach you or for me to educate you on the situation. We can't look at every white person and say, oh, this person's bad, this person is this person's that. We have to give them room to come along with us. We have to educate them to be in the fight with us. Again, it's kind of what I talked about earlier. We have to unify the message, right? We can't, it's a lot of white people out with BLM signs, but they're like, BLM, Blue Lives Matter. Like, no, wait, hold on one second. We talk about Black lives at this point in time. I get it. And I want everybody to realize I am a supporter of all people. I want all people to be treated equally and fairly and justly. That's what I want. But at this moment, we talking about Black lives and how Black and brown people are being treated in the United States of America.
Yeah, man.
That's what we talking about. All that other stuff, it ain't that I ain't trying to hear. I will hear it when I leave this rally and come to your rally. I will support what you do. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I will support what you do. I'm going to fight.
Somebody say it, Darius.
I'm going to fight with you. But at this point in time, this is where we are. So we have to leave space for grace and allow there to be dialogue. Because if we don't talk with them and if we don't share with them, it becomes an issue. And then lastly, just kind of my final thoughts, we have to get out and we have to vote. When it comes to leading the movement, what's next, what happens, I'm a bit of a rebel, and I like history. When I look at Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, I don't think Malcolm would have been, or Martin Luther King would have been as effective without a Malcolm X on the outside saying, if you don't do it his way, you're gonna have to come and see it my way. So I think that the protests are necessary. People in the streets saying we are not going to take this any longer is necessary. But we also have to be able to say, okay, well, you can set us up real good. We're going to tell you our issues, and you go into that boardroom and you fight for us. We have to instill that hope, and we have to trust again. We have to trust our leaders again. We have to pick leaders who we can trust. We have to really, and as leaders, we have to step out and say, listen, it's not about me. I don't care if it's me. I don't care who it is. I want somebody who can go in there and get the job done and fight for us. So you got to have the people on the street, and you got to have some people at the boardroom table. But we all have to be fighting for the same cause. And lastly, as we celebrated Pentecost this past week, one thing that a question was posed is the protest Pentecost. And I said, interesting, because if we do this right, the experience of Pentecost was you had a group of people. You originally had 500, and then a whole bunch of people left. And so you got down to this core group that was in this one place at one time with some expectation that something was getting ready to happen. So what I feel is if we continue this protest and let the craziness fall off. Again, all you need is a remnant that's out there saying, this is what our expectations are. This is where we want to go. And we're not going to move until you come. We're not going to move until change happens. We're not going to move until we see the goodness of the Lord in our day. We're not going to move until we see economic equality and justice for all of our people. Once we get to that point, then we can see the Holy Spirit move, right? Then we can see the power come down and really impact things that are taking place in our society. I'm gonna leave it at that. But we got to come together and stay there. And if people ain't with us, that's okay. You can fall off, because we gonna stay right here on this issue until God does something different. We can't move from here until God does something different. We got to be willing to stay right here, no matter how long it takes. no matter how long it takes, whether it's 40 days, whether it's 381 days, whether it's 20 days, whatever it takes, we have to be willing to stay in the fight. We have to be persistent in the fight. We have to be persistent and consistent. We can't keep changing. We got to make sure we are here expecting God to move, expecting laws to change, expecting people to hear what we have to say. That's all I got. I'm sorry. I took too much time.
Thank you, baby Jakes.
Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready.
You know, that's our future. That's our future. Young, educated, articulate, compassionate visionaries. That's our future. We have a great future. We have a bright future. You know, and now is not the time to give up. What that young man just said is the change lies inside of you. God is putting you what is necessary to fix all of this. Because if you don't change first, even if we change it, it won't be long before it is what it used to be, because without a new you, a new it is useless. The change is within you. You are out there in Facebook. You, those of you listening to me on telephone, those of you watching me on YouTube, you are the change. Let's make change. Let's bear arms. Let's make a difference. Let's empower people and impact this world. Darius, man, thank you. And I'll tell you what, whenever and wherever you run, I said, this is the prophet in me speaking. Whenever and wherever you run, I'm there, man. I promise you that. Give them the title of your single again and tell them again where they can pick that single up, Darius.
The title of my single is His Word Says I Can, and it is available on Apple Music, Google Play, iTunes, whatever you have, wherever digital music is sold. Please go out, stream it, support it. I really appreciate it. It's a love project, honestly. It was something that God placed in my heart in a very dark place for me. And I know we're dealing with a lot of dark stuff right now. And I want it to be encouraging to somebody to let them know that, listen, you can come out of this. His word gives you everything that you need in order to make it yet another day, another week, another month, another year. So if you can do me a solid and go ahead and download that and just take a listen, share with somebody around you. Again, I just want people to be blessed. It's not about a financial thing for me that I can do without it. It's fine. But I just want to make sure that the music that I produce is something that touches the hearts of people and blesses the masses as much as it can.
And he can sing as good as he can talk too. Y'all better go and get it. His word says that I can. Pastor Whitaker, thank you so much for joining us and being with us, man. I love you. You know, you are my comrade, my brother, for real, for real. Coach Ward, man, thank you for the years of friendship. Thank you for the example that you are and for the impact that you are making on our young men. Last time I was in the city, man, I went to the barber shop and Lil G was in the barber shop and you were not there.
Wow.
And I was so proud of him because I remember him, man, when he couldn't talk. I was probably there the day he got his first haircut. And to see him carrying himself, man, and conducting himself with his pants pulled up, with his back straight, you know what I'm saying? Looking like he was headed someplace instead of looking like he had come from someplace, you know? I'm proud of you and I thank you for the impact. I thank all of you for the difference that you have made. And for all of you out there on Facebook, all of you out there on YouTube, if we have made a difference, if some good stuff has been said and you think that this message should be heard by the masses, do me a favor when we get off today. Share this. Send it to somebody. Let somebody know that we were on. Be looking forward to hearing from us in the very near future. We're going to put on a weekly show, something like this, dealing with Black issues. You know, we're going to deal with, you know, building us economically. We're going to deal with, how do we fix our credit? How do we secure loans? What educational resources are available? We're going to do everything we can to empower each other. I don't have one right now, but next time we come on, I'm going to have an email because I want you from wherever you are in the country. I want you to send us the stories of the local heroes, those grassroots people who are getting the work done that can't necessarily afford advertisement. We're not a big platform, but we are a platform. And so we want to put attention to those people who are doing right and trying to build up their people so that we can be made better together. Hey, until next time, y'all remember, you touch yourself, tap yourself, talk to yourself. You are the change. God bless you. God keep you. I love each and every one of y'all.